I'm here with Scott Campbell. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
All right, how's New York treating you so far?
It's been great. A little cold, a little gloomy, but it's no big whoop there.
All right. So when you first picked up the pencil and started drawing,
yes,
what was some of your inspirations? Like, what popped in your head, and which made you say, I want to be an artist?
I would say I was mostly influenced originally by the original classic Disney films. I originally thought I was going to be an animator. That was the path I was on for many years. I think it was around high school I discovered my first comic book. Well, I knew comic books existed, but it was the first comic book that really took my attention away from animation. And that was an X-Men annual. I think it was X-Men oversized annual number 10. But what I remember was it was drawn by an artist named Arthur Adams, and his artwork just stole my attention away from animation. I was just like, whoa, what is this here? This style is very different than anything I'd seen before. The level of detail, the figure drawing, it had a whole dimension that I just never really saw in comics up until that point. And I think pretty much from that point on, I was really into comic books. I later got into Todd McFarlane, then Jim Lee, and those sort of were the influences, my early influences in comic books.
Can you tell us some of the new projects you're working on this year?
I mean, I don't have any interior projects. Usually that's what people want to sort of know, like, oh, are you doing a story or an interior project? I haven't really been working on interiors the last few years. I've been doing a lot of covers for Marvel. I also have a calendar series I've been putting out the last few years, so I just released my latest one. It's called Fairy Tale Fantasies, where it has like sort of like kind of pin-up versions of the classic fairy tale characters, kind of done up in a pin-up calendar fashion. So I'll be working on my next edition of that over the next few months. But yeah, just like I said, doing lots of covers. I'm working on some more single images. I'm just really in that mode right now where I like doing single concepts and single page images and stuff like that. So, but I'm sure eventually I'll get back to interiors at some point.
When you color your sketches, do you sometimes just color it with regular markers, or do you sometimes use like Photoshop or Cintiq? Like, how do you go about coloring?
Most of the time, when I do my published work, I work with other talented colorists. I collaborate a lot with Nia Ruffino. I've also done some work in the past with a colorist named Edgar Delgado. I'm always looking out for other developing talent out there that I can work with and stuff like that. But I'm still kind of old school in that sense, where I do the line art and I tend to pass it off to the colorists in the business to do their thing. But occasionally I will color my own work. I usually will use what they call Copic markers when I do like sort of convention sketches and things like that. I like sort of staying within the gray tones, maybe just very minimal color. I'm not a big, I don't travel around with a truckload of markers, so I can't really go full blown with it. And I would like to develop more of my knowledge and my sort of skill level on Photoshop. But as of yet, I've kind of, my skills on there are pretty rudimentary.
Have you ever thought of working with Adam Hughes?
I think Adam likes to work by himself for the most part. I have worked with him in a studio once. Adam and I shared a studio space for about a year, and I learned quite a bit from him. He's been in the business quite a bit longer than me, so I was able to learn quite a bit, and I still learn quite a bit just from observing him. But yeah, like I said, Adam, I think for the most part, he kind of, I mean, we have different styles, we've chosen different approaches, but I still get a lot from him. I've learned quite a bit just from observing what he does, and I'm a big fan of his work.
And you do have what you said before, the Mary Jane collectible bust,
yes,
coming out soon. Have you ever thought of having any other collectible busts coming anytime soon? I mean, Batman versus Joker.
Well, I was fortunate in that case where Sideshow approached me and was interested in working with me to develop those statues. I think it's one of those things when you're fortunate enough to be in a position to do that, it's usually because a company like Sideshow approached you. There has been over the working relationship discussions about the possibility of doing, other statues based on my artwork for not just Marvel properties, but possibly some other properties. But that was a project that was in the works for a couple of years, and it's just now sort of seen the light of day. But those Spider-Man busts, or not busts, those Spider-Man statues were in the works for quite some time before they finally got to the public's conscious, I guess. So it's possible there might be some more. The Mary Jane has been very well received, so we're hoping that there will be some more.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Have a nice day.
I appreciate it. Yeah.